The earth has been calling you far longer than you realize. Through the mountain that you can't stop thinking about. This ancient temple site that gives you goosebumps every time you just hear the name. The landscape that feels far more like home than the place that you grew up. This isn't wanderlust or craving for adventure. It is deep soul recognition. Every sacred site oracle walks the same path, but not every oracle priestess remembers in quite the same way. Discover your sacred site oracle type and uncover the unique portal through which you experience the living wisdom of the earth. You might be the rose code carrier, remembering through the rose and the grail codes that are stored in Magdalene lands. You might be the temple keeper or the lineage walker, your soul being activated through ancient lineage and ancestral pilgrimage paths. Or you might be the earth listener, hearing the living pulse of Gaia through the wind, the water, and the ley lines herself. Your sacred site oracle type reveals the way that your soul was designed to remember and how your soul naturally connects with the living wisdom of the earth and the gifts that you are here to embody through pilgrimage, place, and presence. The earth has been speaking to you. It is time to remember that you speak her language as the oracle priestess. Take the Sacred Site Oracle quiz and discover your threshold into a deeper initiation with the living landscape of Gaia, the sacred sites that are calling you, and become the Sacred Site Oracle that has been encoded within you all along. You can scan the code or find the link below to take the quiz and discover your Oracle archetype. Welcome back, Sacred Site Oracles. What a joy to have you with us today. And if you are new here, welcome, welcome. This is the place where you'll find answers to why certain places have been showing up in your dreams or why you have felt the energy of places in your body all along. And if you've been around for a while, thank you so much for sticking around and becoming family. Our Sacred Site Oracle community is growing, and I couldn't be more happy and grateful about this. So if the conversations resonate, you do me a big favor by subscribing, leaving a review, and also sharing the episodes with a dear friend who is equally nerdy excited about the wisdom teachings of Gaia and the deeper sense of belonging we can cultivate when traveling with intention and for our spiritual growth and expansion. And expansion is the word that we are going to be talking about today. This is a big theme also for my guest today, Carolin Föll. This conversation is going to be all about expansion and dissolving the separation of the spiritual and religious hats or identities that we give ourselves as humans along the path of remembrance. Carolin is tuning in all the way from Lombok. She is the founder of ELLELIZA and the creator of ELUMINA, a transformational retreat experience for ambitious, successful women who feel deeply called by life, leadership, expansion, and the desire for more. She has worked over 10 years inside the international IT transformation and consulting, leading complex projects in fast-moving, high-performance environments where responsibility, growth, and visibility were part of everyday life. And now she bridges the two worlds that rarely meet, the high-performance leadership and also the deep human transformation. That is shaping the mindful modern leaders our world is asking for today. So welcome, sister, to the Sacred Travel Podcast.
Thank you so much, you beautiful light, for having me and for inviting me in your beautiful space. I'm really, really thankful and grateful for being here. And I'm so excited for our conversation.
I am excited too, absolutely. You know, I want to start by you shared with me that just before coming on the show, you actually reflected on your own journey of conscious travel and how places, especially islands, but also mountains, because you used to live in Switzerland, connected you or became catalysts for your own remembering. And so you shared a couple with me, like Kauai, Switzerland, Mexico, Lombok. So let's unravel these a little bit. because also you just recently moved from Switzerland to Lombok. Let's tell us about your own journey of remembrance and how each of these places sparked their little, sparkles of reclamation for you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to share. There is, of course, a lot to say about it. I think I could fill hours about regarding the journey. Also, being someone who is one that traveled already when she was a baby, because I'm born in Germany, but I'm grown up in the Netherlands. So as a baby, I was already traveling between Germany and the Netherlands, and I'm grown up in the Netherlands. So traveling was always already, I don't know, part of my identity, I would say. So it always took me to different places in the world. So it didn't matter when I was studying. I knew, I was studying, for instance, in Qatar because I wanted to study at a place where you don't just travel and where you don't just casually live. So, and it was also back in 2014, so more than 10, 12 years ago, because I wanted to visit places that are not so known, and that are and that have like also a special, like now I would say that have a special energy. Back then, 10 years or 12 years ago, I wasn't that awakened, I wasn't that spiritual, but my soul and my intuition was always calling me to different places. And as well as Switzerland. I remember when I passed to Switzerland, it like I felt like Switzerland for me was like will be up in the northern Scandinavia, because like the beautiful nature and everything, and it had like such a potent energy also, like the mountains and the water and like the combination of it. For me, traveling through the first time traveling to Switzerland was like it's like magic, and I just knew one day I will be living here, but I didn't know like how. At one point, just 3 years later, I was asked for a job in Switzerland, and I took that opportunity. So and when it comes also to travel, so back in my consultancy job, so in this high demanding and high paced environment and in this hustling environment, so I now remember I had a project in Mexico. I always, because we spend at least 2 weeks over there. So we always spend then the weekends, of course, there. And I was always eager to explore the country also itself and going to places that not normally tourists always goes. So really going into something very ancient always. So really being connected with the culture itself. And I remember also there when I was working in Mexico, because imagine like I was traveling weekly to Mexico, but then also traveling to Munich. And I was really like traveling between Stuttgart, Munich, and Mexico, like for 1 year. And it was, of course, very exhausting, but nevertheless, I was always making the best out of it. And especially when being in such a country, to really dive into the culture and the energy of this special land, sacred land. And I remember also sitting at one of the Aztecs pyramids where it was just, I think it was the moon pyramid, and where you were just sitting on the pyramid. And I was like, I don't know, I didn't have words, but I had this deep feeling of a deep being in awe with life and how special it has been, what it would have been also living back in that time. And so I always had something special for different places. Yeah.
I love that. I guess a lot of the listeners can totally relate to that and see themselves in what you are describing.
Yeah.
So you mentioned hustle culture. Does that even exist on Lombok? And what has the island taught you so far?
What I have experienced and also see around myself, this culture, of course, exists here. Because the thing is, when I told my boss and the general management that I'm leaving my very well paid and very good career, in Switzerland, they told me, "Oh, that's nice. So you're now having like a more balanced life, like a more balanced work-life balance, right? And you will enjoy like you have more time to slow down. But one thing that I told them is when I'm not slowing down already in the current place where I live, so it doesn't matter in Switzerland or the US or Germany, or doesn't matter in which country you live, you take the same identity to another country, to the tropical island. So I actually already had changed my life in Switzerland already, because if I would have stayed the hustle and the hustle Caroline, and really pushing through everything, I would continue doing this also on this island, because I actually see it around the people I'm meeting daily. Because one reason why we also traveled or moved here to Lombok is that here is a beautiful community of a lot of entrepreneurs, people who build new things, who start their own business, who thrive in their businesses. And we wanted to have a community of like-minded people also, where the theme, right, expand beyond limits, and where there are actually no limits, and where you can dream big together. But I also see in dear friends of mine or people we just met at the cafe, that they are hustling here the same as they did before, because they don't allow themselves, to fully live. So this culture you definitely have here, but it's like your inner decision, how you want to lead your life and your business, right? The business you're building, the career you're building. And I decided consciously that I don't want to have that in my life anymore. But it doesn't mean that I'm not ambitious. I'm still like super ambitious. I'm still like a very high achiever, but integrating like more of our feminine energy, our feminine intelligence, and really being connected to myself, knowing, okay, what gives me energy and things that really drain my energy, to really being conscious about it, of not getting that too much in my life, then of course. Yeah.
I love that. That's very, very powerful what you said about the change happens here and happens here. And then you take that into the different places. We spend years trying to heal ourselves, find our purpose, and create meaningful work, how to build families, businesses, and communities. Yet almost no one teaches us that the reality from which all of this emerges is built from an invisible architecture, where you are the one cultivating a strong energetic field from which life itself emerges. Before building a family, before you lead a community, before you hold space for another human being. Now, the ancient temple schools understood this. They did not simply train healers. They cultivated priestesses and priests whose presence brought coherence wherever they walked. Oracles who understood the language of energy as intimately as the language of the body. Wise ones who knew that every thought, every emotion, every relationship, every sacred space is part of one living field and organism. Now, that wisdom isn't ancient history. It's exactly what our crumbling matrix world is asking you to remember. Magdalene Starfire Healing is your initiation into that lineage of serpent healers of light, of oracles, of priestesses. You will not simply learn an energy healing modality, but understand the energetic architecture of your own presence, of your body, your field, to refine your intuition, your psychic abilities and gifts, and to awaken the intelligence of your light body technology, to consciously create the field from which your life, your relationships, and your work will naturally flourish. Because the future won't be shaped by people who know the most. It will be shaped by the ones capable of holding frequency, whose presence brings another back to remember their own divine blueprint and creatrix. You are gifted, and your gifts are not asking for more proof. They're asking to be lived. The temple doors for Magdalene Starfire Healing Level 1 are open now. We begin on the 8th of August for 7 weeks, the initiation into the temple of the white flame of truth and discernment. I would be honored to welcome you into the Temple of the Magdalene. Click the link below or scan the code and sign up today. So I'm wondering, because Bali is that hub and that hotspot and like big nodal point where so many spiritual seekers, but also, just like maybe traditions and just like it feels like this pulse where everybody who thinks of themselves in a spiritual way, like at some point in time they need to be in Bali. And Lombok is kind of like the more, I don't want to say neglected, but it's not so commonly known. What do you think that Lombok has to offer that does not at all put it in the shadow of Bali? But like, have you connected with locals? Have you seen or gone to any of the places that really helped you understand what this land cultivates inside oneself?
Yeah, definitely. Right. Also here, right? Each island has their own frequency and their own energy, of course, right? And they are beautiful in their own ways. And I mean, we just came from Bali. So, I also know how Bali is. We were in Uluwatu, also a beautiful place. But really coming to Lombok was something different. I was like really coming home. And what I love about Lombok, it's this tranquility. So it's like really it brings you to a state, because Bali is now a bit also crowded, a lot of people. And here Lombok is really still like, I would say, like 5 or 10 years back if you compare it to Bali. So you really slow down quicker. So really the island make your nervous system actually really like also slowing down. I mean, I remember when we also flew that, and you're in crowded places, you were like, oh wow, this is pretty hectic. You really get more conscious about how your nervous system and the energy that is here on this island actually helps you in to regulate your nervous system itself. And places that are here it are just even like, if when I'm working from the cafe, or if I'm working in the deep jungle, it are like places that elevates your inner self subconsciously, and it brings you into a state where you really also, again, you start connecting deeply more to yourself. You meet like-minded people. Also, like the locals here, they are so dear, so friendly, like what they also create in different. So I also met a woman that are created that is also in female empowerment, and she's creating things out of natural, what's it called, pineapple leaves, creating new things which you haven't seen before. So also here, this Lombok is something that helps you evaluating, or leveling up yourself by not needing to do anything for it. Because also all the friends that I have, like the community, the other female leaders in my community, and also digital nomads that I have, business owners, like they just come to Lombok. That's a beautiful thing. They come to Lombok to just visit because they think, oh, we heard of it, it's nice. And what happens? They end up staying here for months, or even coming back, because they really feel this deep energy of how this island is unconsciously elevating you, and even actually helping you to quantum leap into different levels that you couldn't have, or that you didn't even thought of before. And that's actually the magic of it. Because same with the retreat, I never thought, I would host a retreat. And here we go.
Yeah.
The idea itself, the vision itself, because we dream often, we have a lot of visions, we create like visions board, but then often it takes very long to get into action, or to really get it into life. And this island really helps you in calibrating yourself into a different frequency, and helps you to put your dreams really into reality.
Sounds
Because you're
very
guided
powerful.
somehow. Yeah. Yeah. Like you meet people, you're really in the flow. You meet people, like that's what I also love. Like you just go to a cafe. So we have a daughter, right? She's 4 years old. So we just go to a cafe and you meet people that really match the vision that you have and then the next person that you actually need for your journey. Because we tend also to force things, right? If I want to reach this goal, I need to do this and this and this, and I need to force it. But this island really brings you opportunities and people into your life that you just need it. And also same with the retreat, I when I just have in mind that we're 10 women coming together and every one of us is benefiting also each other because it was the right time and the right choice and the right frequency that we were all in order to help and to support each other's on our personal journey.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like the universe positioning
Yeah,
people in
yeah.
place to form these new alliances. I also, and it's interesting how you speak about islands, and it's something in a similar way that I am observing here with the mountains. I
Mhm,
feel, and specifically, let's say I'm not talking about the crowded places because also you mentioned that Lombok isn't as overcrowded as other places yet, and same if you like here in Switzerland go to some of the places that are almost like hidden gems. The crystalline energy is so high that it almost and I think the other day I was watching something from Diana Cooper, and she said that she was referring to the mountains and like the mountain towns that they are like changing into the crystalline structure first because they are like highest up. But I can definitely see that there is a parallel mirroring with the islands as well because they are surrounded by water and it's this womb
mhm.
consciousness. Whereas the mountains is more like a crown for me in a way, but it's these points that are, yeah, I don't know, being ignited in a way, and when we walk the land, we feel that in our bodies, and we feel how they change us from within. Like you said, it's like it comes from within. It doesn't have to. If I take the same shit anywhere I go, it's not going to change. So that's super powerful.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah.
You also You also shared with me, and just like by the nature of the women that you work with, like most of the people that come to you, they have this awareness in a way that there is more. And so when I, you know, went through what you shared with me about, you said it's about becoming the person who can safely hold more. And then you gave a few examples of like holding more visibility, holding more leadership, abundance, responsibility, and just like life in general without abandoning yourself. And when I was still in corporate in a hustle environment, I would have been scared by this vision of me holding more. And the more that
Mhm.
I am like being initiated and also initiating others into this Magdalene lineage, knowing what spiritual leadership truly is, it's about this holding more light, but not from a sense of like, I got to hold it all together,
Yeah.
but I am
Mhm.
becoming the vessel to allow the light and everything to move through. So it's just this natural. Yeah, Magdalene leadership came to me because this is what a Magdalene is. It's a title for a priestess who holds light. And so I would
Mhm.
love to hear from you what is your take on this, and how, especially the beautiful retreat that you are working with, or that you are setting up, the space that you are creating, how is that supporting women who are seeking out these kind of more, the expansion?
Yeah. Love that. Yeah. So one thing that came directly to my mind is what you just shared, right? If you're running your business or you are in corporate, having a high leadership role, or you're a general manager or in C-level working and thinking, right, that in order to hold more, I need to do more, right? That's like the synonym that we understand or that we often think. And that we actually that also our environment is sharing with us and showing us, right? And how I love to explain it is what I to make it really easy to understand in order to hold more is like you currently have a glass from just 200 milliliters and you're trying to, reduce the stress. So your water level, you're trying to, what's it called, to balance right out so that's not overflowing constantly. So you're doing your yoga or your Pilates or the things that are good for you, right? In order to decrease your water level. Maybe you're journaling, maybe you're doing your spiritual practices and so on. But then life hits, it gets messy, you get a big project or a big opportunity that brings you out of your comfort zone, right? So your water level raises again. And suddenly you're always trying to balance your water level of your 200 milliliter cup. And what I'm doing with the women, I'm helping them to not only keep their 200 milliliter, I'm helping them to expand into a 500 milliliter cup. In a big Stan's cup, like these Stanley cups that we have now, right? That are everywhere.
Yeah.
Or the big coconut, that are heavier. And not your little glass anymore, but that you expand your glass so that you don't always have to try to balance it in and out. So that you can have all the same that you have with more ease, with more joy, with more excitement, with more aliveness, and that you can also are able to hold more because your glass is way fuller. I have the big Stanley cup. So yeah, you know. And what was your question again?
Okay, let's make this a conversation. I love that. This is super powerful. And when you were explaining that, my visual that came up was actually just like pouring out the 200 first, like completely emptying yourself. So you feel the vessel, you feel yourself, who you truly are. And then from that space, fill it up again, but not just to the 200, but the 500 that you were saying.
Yeah.
And, I feel, because I do a lot of this leadership, like the spiritual leadership initiations, and also like consciously left corporate, or was at a point where I'm like, okay, the universe said you can go now, like job done. And at the same time, because also I'm coming from this background, you're coming from this background, and there is women who simply are not made for a role as a healer or like spiritual community leader or whatever. The way that we are transitioning as a collective, I feel it is going to be more and more important to also not just bring this feminine masculine harmony, but like really cutting through the separation of, when are we doing Pilates? When am I doing my meditation? Like, this is when I can be the spiritual Caroline, the spiritual Julia. And then when I'm in the boardroom, like things flip around again. And so to me, it's going to be very important that these, let's call them initiations, are also happening on a level in the boardrooms, or for the women, like men equally, but the women who are these frequency holders, to bring them into the structures and the matrix that we live in. And so we can like change and alchemize that from within. And I feel with, the retreat that you're building, ELUMINA, this is very much your answer to these initiations, like this transformational spaces for the women who's ambitious and successful, but also this call for life. What is life? What is leadership? How am I showing up?
Mm-hmm.
So guide us a little bit into the spaces that you're creating, and maybe, specifically also with ELUMINA that is taking place on Lombok.
Yeah, it's beautiful what you described, because it actually puts it on point. Because we think we have to be in a certain role, or we have to be in a certain way in order to be professional, right? In order to be function, or to be visible, or to get the authority as a leader in the corporate or in the consultancy world, or the expert that you are, right? Or if you also have your own business. But it's not and then if you're like private with your friends and your sisters, then you're a complete different person. But it's exactly that. You don't have to wear those two different masks. how powerful is it for, of course, as you also said, for men, but because we are focusing on the women here, how powerful is it for a woman who can be truly herself, who can actually, because this is also what I did. It's so crazy because I know the women who have the feeling that if I would tow cards at the breakfast table, I'm on a business trip and sitting with my colleagues at a breakfast table in the hotel, and I start towing cards at the breakfast table and inviting maybe also others. I know exactly that feeling, how crazy that would be, because I was in that place once because I thought I need to hide this. So yeah, so when I drink from my glass bottle with crystals in it, and also my boss asked me like, "What do you have there?" Right, and I'm like, "I'm having crystals in my bottle," and he's like, "Oh, my parents have that too." So suddenly, you think you have to hide something, but people are always also open up to you in a different way, which you would never expect these kind of conversations with the people around you, because you think you have to hide this side of you. But when you start really being truly who you are, believing the things, and also just sharing from your heart, beautiful conversations and also not only conversations open, but more deeper and meaningful relationship will start also in the environment where you're working with, and that brings you then also more ease, because you don't have to hide behind the mask thinking you need to be someone in order to get the respect or in order to be seen and valued. But if you're really connecting to your true self and what's important for yourself and being really confident with yourself, you see that it resonates deeply also with others around you. And that you're actually really a role model for others, because you give them then also, the courage and also proof that it's also for them allowed to show who they truly are. And this is actually, so coming back to also to your question, what I'm doing right in my retreat is that this is what I'm doing. So I'm things that we currently think I need to be a certain way, and like the spirituality or the who I truly am cannot coexist. I'm showing you and helping you, supporting you to realize that you are all of it. And this is actually the only version of you that deserves to be lived. And just helping you remember who you truly are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, or I just get goosebumps saying that, because this is this is already within you. You are all this, and hiding this beautiful side that your sisters are valuing about you, your friends or your partner or your kids. Show this also everywhere in every aspect of your life. Don't have to hide it. And that's, yeah. And that's what I'm doing in the retreat, of really helping you to see and remember who you truly are, and helping you to be really confident about it, to step into your true power, to really being able to show who you truly are, and really living by this deep universal source, this light that you have within you.
Hmm. Let's walk us a little bit through, the actual experience when women say yes to coming to Lombok, which is probably a bit of a pilgrimage in itself, depending on where you're coming from.
Yeah.
What's the experience going to be like? What can they expect?
Oh yeah. So the experience, like it's very, very special, because I wanted something to create that when you arrive, the environment itself recalibrates you and puts you already in a different frequency. And I wanted to create something because I also was, like, last year I was on 2 retreats also in Egypt, and I remember being in one of the, like, it was in the temples also, like, for feminine energy, and I saw, like, the priestess, the queen, sitting there, and she was enough by being just herself. So really seeing this the queen, the priestess, sitting there, she is like whole, she is worthy, she's enough by just being herself, And this is also something that I wanted to give to the women that are coming into the space to Lombok, that you are enough as you are, and you are allowed to be treated as a queen. That's why it's also a luxury retreat experience where every woman will get their own villa, like their beautiful, really very huge villa with their own pool. So really that they start treating themselves as the queen they are, really being able to detach from everything. Because also what I wanted is that every one of them has their own space. We have like a community space, a retreat space where we can gather, where we can come together, where we can connect. But I wanted to give everyone their own space really to land in themselves, to breathe, and to just arrive and just being who they truly are, and really just celebrating the success they have, what they have reached in their life, and being really proud of themselves, really celebrating themselves, and really being treated as a queen. And also like the hotel itself, it doesn't have any edges. Everything is round. It's made out of bamboo. We're in the middle of the jungle. They build it in between the huge rocks. So really also consciously placed everything super beautiful. So really the energy of the hotel only like matches already like the frequency of the because I don't like to call it retreat, but it's like the wording everybody understands, but it's like really more an immersion and a transmission that you're going, like, and a conscious travel, a conscious experience that you're doing. And then every day is like also creatively and consciously selected to support your in your personal growth and your leadership growth towards expanding beyond limits, right? So what you described before with emptying your cup, this is what we start. Like we arrive, but first we need to make space, right? We need to let go, we need to cleanse, we need to purify. And that, for instance, we do that at a waterfall site, but not where everybody is going, because I said before, I don't like places where everybody is going. I love to explore places where it's really a bit hidden gap, where not so many people are coming, where you can walk yourself alone, where you don't need a tour guide for, and really being able to consciously and being purely present and diving into the jungle in combination with the waterfalls and purify. And then we do like some rituals. I'm giving like, I don't want to say too much, but it will be also like a really special experience that you cleanse and purify from the inside out in order to make space that you can actually hold the expansion.
Yeah.
Right. And then the next days are then planned for bringing back to yourself, remembering who you are, also with creativity, where we create our own jewelry, so really you're creating from source, something with your own hands, being totally in present and meditation, and really where you have space that things can come to you where your normal day life doesn't have space for it at all, right? So really creating space where every insight and epiphany and aha moment that wants to rise finally can arise, as you really deeply feel your inner voice, intuition again. And then the next days is then planned or is then so planned that you then, of course, then we go into the expansion and in the integration, because you can learn so much, you can do so much, you can read so many books, so many podcasts or whatsoever. But if you're not integrating and if you're not really taking it into real life and not really embodying, then you can learn your entire life, but then you will not evolve to the version where you really see yourself, right? And that's for me personally always very important, this integration and embodiment part, because we have the mind, we have the soul, we have the body, and everything needs to be in balance, in order to get you to that next state, because otherwise you're losing something and then it feels hard again. It drains your energy. You're not in sync, right? So also really considering those different factors like body, mind, soul, and energy, of course, right? And so that you at the end, that you are really here made for more, and that you truly know what your next action step that in your own business, to scale your business. Or if you are working in a startup environment and or in a C-level environment, right, in a startup, and you think, okay, now it's time for me to go to corporate, to really believe in yourself that this next step is definitely possible for you, and that it's really like a full circle moment that I've created, and really exploring Lombok in different ways that you wouldn't explore. You also said before that it can be quite a journey, right, to come here to Lombok, and that's true. But I know for sure that the women who are feeling called know that it will, like, they are excited about to take this journey on them. It's the same when I did my retreat in Hawaii 5 years ago, where there was a travel ban. I wasn't allowed. So I was actually planned to do a retreat in Kauai, Hawaii. I wanted to spend 4 weeks in Hawaii. But then, regarding COVID and everything, and also the regulations in the US, we got a travel ban from Schengen area. We were not allowed to fly directly from Switzerland to the US. And then, of course, I could have said, well, okay, universe is coming and, maybe next time. But no, I deeply knew this is it. This is something that I need right now for my next step. Something like this is the soul journey that I need right now to evolve, for my career and also my personal life. So what I found, like, I always think in solutions. So we traveled to Costa Rica, spent there 2 weeks. Got the negative test, and from Costa Rica you could fly directly also to Hawaii. And there we did then, so my partner and I, was like a personalized retreat, soul retreat, and we spent then 2 weeks on the beautiful island Kauai to do this retreat, which was then also back then, was 5 years ago, which was also an initiator for myself into this journey. That was also like the starting point where I am today, because back then I would have, like, I was in the middle of the corporate, and I thought, okay, I'm climbing up the corporate ladder, and see, like, looking now 5 years later, I'm living in Lombok. I'm running my own business. I'm scaling it. I'm hosting my first ever retreat for amazing, ambitious women, for visionary women who really want more in their life, who really want to expand beyond limits and without losing themselves on their way. And see what's all possible if you take a decision like today, which amplifies everything in your life.
Yeah. We also want to share the logistics. And I know
Oh, yeah.
that you have super, like, I was excited when you shared this with me, because I don't think that we had ever, like, such a big opportunity to win something on the podcast. So this is super exciting. Please share with our listeners and people who are watching this, what's in store for them.
I'm already nervous, like, when you say it. I'm like so excited, like the nervousness and excitement and the love and the joy, which I just want to give back, because I thought, like, what can I give back to your beautiful community, to the conscious traveler community, and to especially the women. And I have like sweaty palms because I'm excited. So I really was sitting there today, and I was sitting, okay, what is really something truly special that I can give to others, like from heart to heart, with love. And so for the listeners who are listening to our beautiful episode, the women who think, okay, this retreat, there is a spark, there is something that hold me, and I would love to visit it. I would love to go there. For those women, would see themselves there here in Lombok with me and with 9 beautiful other women, ambitious women, you can win this elevated and expansional retreat, a ticket to this retreat for this very special and luxury experience. And it means so you can win this transformational journey, this 7-day luxury retreat journey, which is worth of 7,000 francs.
Wow. Wow.
Because I believe that because I want, as it was for me in Hawaii, even though, the world was telling me no, but I just know my soul knew I need to go there. This is the place to be. And I just love this for you to experience such a journey for yourself. If we're here in October together in Lombok, welcoming you with a fresh coconut, in your private villa, discovering the sacred land, the frequency which will elevate you on levels which you cannot think of right now, but will really quantum leap you in the next couple of years. And things will come into your life where you right now do not even think of that as possible, because you really will expand beyond limits.
What an amazing gift. People, this is really something that I would love to take part in. I know that I can't because it's for you. So, Carol, tell us what people need to do in order to be part of the 500 milliliter jar.
Yes. So we will share like the application a link in the show notes, right? Where you can then apply. And if you follow us on Instagram also, like Julia, Soul Wisdom, and Carolin, ELLELIZA Official, we will also share that right in the show notes. So you follow us, you apply via the application link, and then you come into the big selection jar. And then we will share everything about the details, like when the winning will be announced. And then you will be able to win this beautiful and very special elevated and expansion ticket for really a life-changing experience.
This is absolutely amazing. And I want to extend that. So by the person who wins it and who is open, I want the two of you on the podcast after the retreat to have a conversation.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Wow, this is huge. Thank you so much. That is absolutely, amazing. That and super gracious. And I really also feel, coming back to this visual of the network of light, that it's this reciprocity of the giving and receiving. Share the dates with us, because we haven't mentioned them yet. You said October, but when is ELUMINA happening?
Yeah, so ELUMINA is happening on the 17th of October until the 24th of October. So
Okay.
It's 7 days, Saturday to Saturday. Yeah.
Powerful. And if Lombok could speak directly to the women listening now, what do you think that the island would say as some final words of wisdom through you as the vessel, the channel?
Lombok is really a hidden gem, a treasure, which will be part of your entire life when you just have landed here. This island has something so treasure that you will keep forever in your heart. And the experience and the journey and the up-leveling frequency and energy that you will experience and feel here will guide you through every transformation and every journey that you will go in life. And it will always help you to overcome also when you right now think it's like one of the biggest challenge, but if you then tap into that frequency, tap back into the remembrance of the experience you had here in Lombok, you remember how strong, how potent, how like you're really remembers to your true light that you have from the inside out and helps you to overcome the challenges with pure light and with ease and coming back really to your true excitement of life and
That
really
is
be
the
yeah
excitement leading to the expansion. That is just like boom.
yeah yeah yeah
Ah, wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's been such an amazing conversation, and I can really feel the island vibes and the coconut. Like, yeah, working their energy of this, the nervous system calmness, and then from that space and alignment, like really go into the expansion. Caro, thank you so much for sharing, yeah, your personal journey, which also I think makes you such a beautiful and trusted guide for the endeavors that you are guiding the women on, the initiations. And we also are going to make sure to put all the links in the show notes, so where people can find you and reach out for either a one-on-one consultation or, of course, the beautiful retreat that you are initiating in October. And yeah, thank you. Just thank you for all your wisdom and all your shares.
Thank you so much for having me and for sharing everything. I'm really, really grateful and thankful for that opportunity. And thank you for your beautiful light and your beautiful soul for sharing everything also here and your wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm excited for when we announce the winner.
Yes.
And for all women who listening who know there is another version of themselves waiting to emerge, your next expansion may not begin with another strategy, but actually with a place. So if you want to discover which sacred landscapes are aligned with your soul's evolution or why you can't stop thinking about a particular site, a temple or country, then you can take my free sacred travel style quiz. It's the perfect first step to help you decode the calling, discover your sacred travel archetype, and exploring your deeper medicine of sacred travel. The link is waiting for you in the show notes as well. And as always, may you remember that you are Starfire incarnate. I'll see you next time.